the conflict of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Now let's take the two examples of a productive problem-solving process and a reproductive one. Currently, what are the problem-solving techniques used by the people, the stakeholders involved in solving this problem? I think it's mostly reproductive. So they think back, when has this ever happened before? Let's take Metasine in Kano, right? What did we use? We basically sent a bunch of soldiers, they killed the guy, and voila, problem solved. So they killed the first leader, just like we did, reproductive, but it didn't work, right? Now, what's the second thing we could use? So other countries probably, put more armories, buy more ammunition, get more soldiers drafted, put more people, get tankers, right? They did that. Reproductive. Did it work? Well, we're looking. It's not working so far. So what do? We need a productive answer. So we kind of need an August Kikola to kind of see all the atoms involved in, the Boko Haram crisis so that we can have a solution. By the way, this is just an example, just like the Ouroboros. So essentially what I'm saying is we need to understand all the parts that come together to form the sum that's the Boko Haram whole, so that we can apply the Gestalt psychology in solving this problem. And I chose Boko Haram because it's big, it's complex. Now think about the smallest problems or the most biggest problems, you can still apply the psychology or the process. One thing that we've been working on is looking at agricultural data in my day job, right? And an outstanding revelation is some of the most Boko Haram attacks happened in the villages that had the most rainfall. The data doesn't lie. So we see that there's rainfall here, and apparently in the dry season or after harvest, there's a Boko Haram attack, which points to one thing. They're after food, right? So that's one parameter, that's one atom, if you look at it. That's one part, the food angle. So what are we doing? Ammunitions don't solve food problems, do they? And going back to bring a reproductive process does not solve a food problem. Now again, the desert is encroaching that part of Nigeria at 5 kilometers per year. So every year, 5 kilometers of desert encroach, and that means we lose farmlands, we lose vegetative cover. That's another problem, environment, right? So you begin to look at it. We talked about food, we talked about environment, we should talk about migration, we should talk about education. And I saw some work being done on preventive measures, on extremism. That's also another angle, because some of the argument that these guys pose is that they are doing it for the purpose of the spread of Islam, which is, if you know Islam, completely bogus, right? So we need to look at that as well. So all I'm saying is, rather than have a reproductive process of coming up with a solution to our problem, let's have a productive process. And this kind of productive process can only happen when there's creative irreverence. And by irreverence here, I mean total disregard and disrespect for the rules. Cutting corners to get to a solution should be what we do. Just because somebody used force to kill Metasine and solve Metasine crisis doesn't mean we have to do the same thing. It's a saying by, I think, Edward de Bono that says creativity involves breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a different way.